Welcome to Tech Notice. We have another Gimbal Head2Head episode. Over here we have the Pilotfly Adventurer, and then over here we have the PFY Maverick. Now both of these want to win, so let's see which one wins. So we're gonna slip through different categories, and whichever one wins gets a point in the category. Let's start with the price. Obviously you want to pay less for your equipment because it's just better. You can keep the money for yourself. The Adventurer comes in at $550, around there, whereas the Maverick over here comes in around $750. So the Adventurer is going to win this one. Next up, build quality. How are these built? The Maverick is built quite well. I mean, everything in here that lines up feels very solid. Materials that's been used, everything absolutely top notch. 10 out of 10, nothing bad to say. On the Adventurer, it's very similar kind of story. Very high-end materials, metal and things like that. But when you get to the bottom of the handle, I think the quality loses a little bit. The leather around here doesn't match up really perfectly around the handle over here. It's just a little bit odd on the side, and the handle, when you've got a quite heavy camera, or if you've got like the follow focus setup over here as well, it's gonna start to bend the handle over here, and sometimes I've nipped my skin because it's just got between the actual handle over here, because if you open up the handle, it's not actually full handle over here, it's just half of it. All the leather comes off, and then you've just got half of that plastic or the black left over here. So I'm gonna give it build quality 1 to the Maverick. Next up is the weight of the gimbal. Now this is where it gets very, very tight. The Adventurer is 4 grams heavier than the Maverick. The Maverick comes in at 997 grams, whereas the Adventurer is 1001 grams. So numbers matter, so I'm gonna have to give it to the Maverick. But you know, they're basically the same weight. Next is the payload capacity. The Adventurer can support cameras or whatever you want to put up on top of there, up to 3.2 kg. Whereas the Maverick over here can support things or cameras on it up to 4.08 kg, which is around 25% more than the Adventurer, so the Maverick's gonna win this one. Portability, they're both very small gimbals and one-handed gimbals and very nice to use, things like that. But when it gets to transporting the gimbal in the actual original case it comes in, I'm gonna have to give it to the Maverick, just because in here, the backpack that comes with it, you can put in the gimbal as well as your camera and some other accessories, which is very, very useful. And you don't have to worry about moving any of the balance out. Just take your camera off and then move your gimbal inside. There's plenty of space for it. On the other hand, when we look at the box that the Adventurer comes in, it's a bit smaller. That's a bit better side. It's a very nice case. Nothing bad to say. It's like a little suitcase type of thing. But when you look inside, the actual slot where the gimbal comes in is fixed. It's not too bad. I've managed to how I'm balancing usually my cameras on here. I can just put the gimbal over here, and it's not a problem. But it depends what camera you're using. It might not fit in there because just the slot where the gimbal is fixed. Both of these gimbals have the 45-degree roll axis, which means you can directly see the screen. So on this category, they're both gonna get a point, or it's just a draw. Setup and balancing. I've balanced the camera on both of these gimbals a few times, different cameras, and I know that it's very easy to do on both of them. Nothing bad to say about either of them. It's very, very, very good. When we go into the setup part of this category, then I'm gonna have to give the edge to the Maverick, just because if you need to calibrate your gimbal, then on the Maverick you can do it inside the handle. You don't need to connect it to your computer, whereas on the Adventurer you're gonna have to connect it to the computer to do any software configurations, which is not ideal. I would prefer it to do it on the handle. So I'm gonna give it to the Maverick. Now the battery life. The Maverick is advertised as 12 hours of use from the manufacturing company, and the Adventurer is actually only 6 hours of run time. But that 6 hours gets massively reduced if you're gonna charge your camera at the same time then it's only 2 hours of usage. So the Maverick's gonna win this one. Functions on the gimbal. Now on the Adventurer, the gimbal handle has a record button on the other side over here, in the back over here. And it also has a shutter release button on the back here. So there's 2 triggers on the back over here. In the front over here, we've got a joystick, we've got the camera mode switch button, so you can switch between different camera weight modes, and you've got the follow mode select button over here. Little LCD screen that shows you battery percentage, camera modes, and the follow modes. Then you've got the joystick and the zoom buttons. Now, if you look at on the Maverick over here, there's a little bit more going on. On the back, there's only 1 button over here. This trigger acts as the camera shutter release button. You can't start recording with this one. On the front over here, we have a little LCD dial over here, and that LCD dial can show you quite a few things. And there's menu as well that you can go inside the Maverick over here. You've got the joystick, you've got the zoom button as over there. The power on button and record button is the same. So if you hold it down, it acts as power on and off. If you press it once, it starts recording or stops recording if your camera is connected to the gimbal. We've got the menu button. If you hold that one down, it's the menu button. If you press it once or twice, it's the camera settings or payload. And then we've got the mode button over here, which is also a back button. So if you're in the menu, you can switch back over here. If you're not in the menu, it's gonna act as mode button, follow mode. Change different follow modes. But also if you go inside this menu settings over here, you can also calibrate the gimbal. You can do time lapse, which is much more helpful over here. So in terms of the functions on the gimbal handle, I'm gonna have to give it to the Maverick. Out of the box usability. Now on the Adventurer, I went inside the simple BGC and changed some of the settings to be a little bit smoother so that the settings are a little bit smooth. I'm not gonna say that out of the box they're not smooth enough. Just for me, they weren't. I had to change a few settings here and there, but actually it's quite good out of the box how it comes. Now bear in mind, you might need to calibrate the gyroscope or the accelerometer. On the other hand here, the Maverick out of the box was just perfect. I expected to like start to change some settings, but then very quickly I realized it's just exactly how I want it to be. Slow enough. If I want to calibrate anything, I can do it in the handle, which is just absolutely perfect. So out of the box usability, I'm gonna give it to the Maverick. It's got a slight edge. The software update ease, I'm not gonna give a point to either of them. I think it's quite complicated to upgrade the software on both of them. I'm not saying it's absolutely ridiculous, but I think we're in 2019 and there needs to be a bit easier way how you can update the software on the gimbals. It would be nice to have an app that's really easy to use, and then on the app just connect it and update the gimbal. That will be perfect. On here, both of them, you're gonna have to follow the instructions on the manufacturing website, and they're gonna give you some softwares to kind of do, and just follow the instructions, you can do it. Now the last category over here is the performance, and I think this is the most important one when it comes to the gimbals, because that's what they're supposed to do. How well do they actually stabilize the camera and the footage? And so now both of these are absolutely equal and neck to neck in most of the modes when you compare them to each other. So when we compare the push-in shots, all locks, or pull out shots, absolutely perfect. Running full speed, walking full speed, just walking, ninja walking, low mode, parallax movement, Dutch roll, they're all very similar, absolutely neck and neck, and got nothing bad to say really. But there is slight difference in one of the gimbals. So when it comes to sport mode, I really like how the Maverick's been designed about the sport mode. So all you have to do is press down on joystick, and then it's gonna start to follow every single, as you can see over here, it's quite low moving, but if I'm gonna hold on the joystick, as you can see, it moves really fast, which I like a lot. So that is a little bit better on the Maverick. The other thing is horizon drift. Both of these gimbals suffer from the horizon drift disease a little bit. The Maverick is not too bad. I'm losing the horizon every now and again, and it's quite easy to fix. All I have to do on the Maverick over here to fix the horizon, take hold of the horizon, do that, and it's moved 10 degrees. And if I wanted to go back, it's 10 degrees, so I can easily move it how I want it. I was supposed to be doing this on the actual Adventurer as well, but it doesn't feel like it's locking into that, so it's not working that well. The Adventurer for me, that's losing horizon quite badly, quite a lot. I can calibrate it, but it's just not so easy to fix. All how you can fix the horizon is, you know, if you change the modes, follow modes. Basically horizon drift, not as good on the Adventurer. It's much better on the Maverick. Now another thing that I really like about the Maverick over here is that when you change the different follow modes, it's not gonna turn the motors off. It's just how it's configured. It uses different ways of changing the follow modes. Over here, look, I'll show you over here. If I change the follow mode, the motors quickly turn off. Did you see? Did you see what the camera does? So if I go to the different mode, it does that little bounce and moves the camera. On the Maverick over here, I can go to one mode. Did you hear that little beep? The camera stays still. So basically what I can do is I can be on all follow mode and then follow something and then switch it to 1, 2, 3, boom, and then I'm locked, and then I'm all lock mode following something, and then I can go back to full follow mode without the camera doing anything weird and ruining my shot. So it's just a little bit better way of using the performance of the gimbal. So in terms of the performance, I'm gonna have to give it to the Maverick as well. Let me know if you own one of those gimbals and if you've had the same experience, or if you can add or withdraw something, or maybe you just have some different experience. I would like to know that in the comment section below. So if you have anything to say, I'm gonna meet you in the comment section below. Now, if you don't have either of these gimbals, I hope this video was helpful deciding which one to buy. If you want to do that, the link for both these gimbals is in the description, as well as some discount codes if I can find them. Also remember that I've got the review videos of both of these gimbals out there if you want to check them out. The videos are out there. Check out the links in the description as well. Remember to subscribe if you haven't already. Like the video if you found it helpful. Wait a second, I already said that. So anyway, I'm gonna see you next time. If you want me to check out some other gimbals, comment below what would you like me to check out. Thanks guys for watching. I'll see you soon. Adios.